Welcome dear student. Myself Mrs. Darshana Sandeep Shinde. Today we deals with the immunity and immunological products part first. Let's start our session. Learning outcomes of our today's session. After watching this video, students are able to understand and recognize what is meant by immunity, factors responsible for immunity, types of immunity, and different immunological products. Let's start the session. First of all, what is immunity? The power of body to resist the effect of the invasion of the microorganism. It's called as the immunity. And susceptibility. The lack of such activity, that means lack of immunity to resist the infection caused by the pathogenic microorganism, is called as the susceptibility. Then we see the factors responsible for immunity. There are following factors which are producing immunity in human body. That is, first factor is phagocytosis and second is antibody formation. This is the phagocytosis process. Phagocytosis means our WBC or it can be happen in liver. These some tissues can be invade the bacteria, ingest the bacteria. It is called as the phagocytosis. First of all, we see the phagocytosis. Phagocytosis means ingestion of bacteria by certain cells of the body, which make them harmless. Phagocytosis is caused by two types of the body cells. First is cell of reticuloendothelial system, which is present in the liver, and white blood corpuscle, that is WBC. First of all, we see the cells of the reticuloendothelial system. The cells of reticuloendothelial system are present in the liver and the spleen. These cells ingest the bacteria and make them harmless. From the blood circulation, such a harmless microorganism either enters the lungs and disintegrate there. Then these WBC, white blood cells. WBC help in the destruction of the bacteria. When the pathogenic bacteria enter into our body, most of the leukocytes, that means WBC, are carried to the infected area. They remain at the site of the infection, ingest the bacteria and make them harmless. Here in phagocytosis, bacteria can be ingested by these cells and make them harmless. Leukocytes with their enclosed harmless microorganism help in the formation of the pus. Then the next factor responsible for immunity, that is the antibody formation. The nature has given the further protection from the microorganism by forming a substance that is known as the antibody. That means if the antibodies form into our body, ultimately we provide our body provided a immunity. These antibodies may be defined as the substance formed in the body in response to the presence of the foreign protein and certain materials in the tissue. These antibodies are nothing but these are not present in our body, but if our body realize any foreign protein is come to in our body's contact, it ultimately forms. Antibodies get ultimately forms and it lasts long to the life. The nature of the antibodies depend upon the manner in which the pathogenic microorganism produce their harmful effect. For this purpose, pathogenic microorganism may be divided into the following groups. What type of infection they produce? In that way, they are divided. First, bacteria producing exotoxin and bacteria producing endotoxin. Let's see, first of all, bacteria producing exotoxin during their growth and some pathogenic Bacteria form the poisonous substance which diffuse through the bacterial cell wall into the medium in which they are grown is called as the exotoxin. That means bacteria can be developed into the cell and it travels from the cell to cell wall and outer medium. It is called as the exotoxin. The toxins are carried to all parts and thus producing harmful effect. That toxin is produced inside the cell can be diffused through the cell wall and spread out to the other medium, that means other parts of our body. That's why infection is produced to the all over the body. In response to these exotoxins, the human body produces the antibodies to neutralize its effect. And if our body realizes that some foreign particle is present or foreign protein is present, they start to formation of the antibodies to neutralize that exotoxin. The antibodies which are capable of neutralizing the exotoxin is called as the antitoxin. That antibodies are capable of neutralizing exotoxins are called as the antitoxins. Then the next is the bacteria producing endotoxin. Here is the endotoxin. The toxin produced by the some pathogenic bacteria. Microorganism does not diffuse through the bacterial cell wall. If there is a microorganism present into the cell or goes into the cell but that cannot be diffused through one cell to another cell, it remain in the cell of the bacteria. Therefore, it is called as the endotoxin. That means inside the cell. Endotoxins are liberated only when bacteria are disintegrated. If that bacteria can be disintegrated or it can be divided into broken down, at that time this endotoxin can be liberated out. These antibodies, if such a kind of endotoxin can be liberated, then some antibodies produced should be effective against such a bacteria. They should reduce disintegration to minimum so that the minimum amount of endotoxin will be liberated. These antibodies are named according to their mode of action. For an example, opsonine antibodies which make the bacteria more susceptible to the phagocytosis are called as the opsonine. Then agglutinins, these antibodies which causes the agglutination of the bacteria is called as the agglutinins. Then precipitin, antibodies which precipitate the endotoxin is called as the precipitin. And bacteriolysine, antibodies which prepare bacteria for the lysis, that is to break down. Then we see what is the difference between endotoxin and exotoxin. Exotoxin, these are the toxins which can diffuse freely through the bacterial cell wall into the blood or the medium in which microorganisms are grown. Where endotoxin, these cannot diffuse through the bacterial cell wall but remain in the cell of the bacteria. Exotoxin, these toxins carry to all parts of the body. Endotoxin are liberated only when the bacteria are disintegrated. Then exotoxins, it is responsible or its response, the human body produces antibodies to neutralize its effect, which is called as the antitoxin. The antibodies are named according to their mode of action in the endotoxin. Exotoxins, example, diphtheria antitoxin. Endotoxins, example is diphtheria toxoids. Then we see the types of the immunity. Immunity is the power of the body to resist against the microorganism infection. Immunity is basically divided into two parts, that is the natural immunity. Natural immunity is we acquired from the age, race, species and individuals. Then acquired immunity, that means we can acquire from the outer sources. It is divided into again two parts, active immunity and passive immunity. This active immunity divided into two parts, active natural immunity and active artificial immunity. This passive immunity, acquired passive immunity has again two parts, natural immunity and again artificial. which can be obtained from the natural source and artificial source also. Active immunity's example is a neutral, or natural source is the neutral. Some persons are susceptible to allergy, some are not. That is neutral one, and active immunity can be obtained from the vaccination also. Passive immunity, it is a natural source, or natural source example is a maternal. That means little infants can got immunity by their mother's milk, which is often for the some period of the time. After that it will be lost one. And passive immunity is artificial example is the antisera, antitoxoids, etc. Then we see the natural immunity. Natural immunity to diseases is possible by individual due to the following factor, that is age. Majority of the children in the age between 2 to 5 years are susceptible to the diphtheria, where the adults are immune to it. Race. Negroes have a high resistance to yellow fever, where white race is very susceptible to it. Then species. Men are susceptible to the thyroid fever, where the mice are immune to it. Then foals are immune to the plagues, whereas the men are susceptible to it. Then individual immunity. Some persons are more susceptible or more resistant against the cold, skin diseases than the others. Then we see the acquired immunity. The immunity is acquired by an individual during its lifetime by producing antibodies in the body. Acquired immunity of two types, active and passive. First of all, we see the active immunity. The body takes an active part in the formation of the antibodies to develop resistance against the disease. Active immunity is divided into again two parts. Natural acquired active immunity. This immunity may last for a lifetime. For example, smallpox, polio, vaccine. If some persons get infected with the smallpox or polio, they develop antibodies which are last long for their life. Maybe for a short duration. Example of its pneumonia, influenza, and gonorrhea. Then artificial acquired active immunity. When an antigenic substance such as the vaccines are introduced into our body, we stimulate that antibodies into our body. Hence, our body get immune, or our body get produce the immunity, or it may be also known as the immunological process. Then we see the passive immunity. The body does not play an active role, having a immunity against the disease. Instead of this, it receives ready-made antibodies. In active immunity, we get our body develop the antibodies. In passive immunity, we get ready-made antibodies to produce the immunity. It is divided into two parts. Naturally acquired passive immunity. A children's example is less than a month get immune to certain infectious disease because of they get the antibodies from their mother. For example of its antibodies of diphtheria, measles, chickenpox are transmitted in this way. Then artificially acquired passive immunity. The immunity is produced by injecting a ready-made antibodies containing preparation like antiserum, sera into the body. Then we see the different immunological products. These are the preparation which are meant for the prevention of the disease, such as the vaccine or treatment of the disease. Immunological products for active immunization, we have the bacterial vaccine, viral and rickettsial vaccine, toxoids. For the passive immunity, we have the antitoxins, antiviral serum, antibacterial serum, immune blood derivatives. This is the chart which can explain. This is the for active immunization, for passive immunization, and for diagnostic agent. For diagnostic agent, we can use to check the tuberculin or test, we can use this diagnostic agent. And then for active immunization, we have bacterial vaccines like BCG vaccine, cholera vaccine, pertussis vaccine, typhoid vaccine. Then viral and rickettsial vaccine, we have the smallpox, yellow fever, measles vaccine, poliomyelitis oral, rabbit vaccine, typhus vaccine. Then the next preparation containing the toxoids. It contains the diphtheria, tetanus, then the diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis vaccine, etc. Preparation containing toxoids. It includes the diphtheria toxoid, tetanus toxoid, diphtheria and tetanus vaccine absorbed form, diphtheria and tetanus pertussis vaccine, which is available in the absorbed form. These are the three active immunization: bacterial vaccine, viral rickettsial vaccine, and preparation containing the toxoids. Then for the passive immunity or immunization, we have the antitoxin serum, which include the diphtheria antitoxin, tetanus antitoxin, gas gangrene antitoxin. Then the antiviral serum, it include the rabies antiserum. Then the antibacterial vaccines. Then the human blood derivatives. Human blood derivatives include human normal immunoglobulin, dried human normal immunoglobulin. In this way, these are the immunological products. In this session, we cover the point: what is immunity, factors responsible for immunity, types of the immunity, and we enlist just different immunological products. Thank you very much for attending this session.